we take it for granted when we have it, right? That nourishing meal. And, if we could do our part by giving food, food is medicine.
It's hard, but Wong says serving others is healing.
Have you had time to reflect and think about Lahaina?
Well, everybody on this island is our family, and we're all hooing together to see what we can do to how to lift each other up and hold each other up.
Truth is, Hawaii's soul was never in the bones of old buildings, but in the beating hearts of its people. Steve Patterson, NBC News, Maui.
That's what community is all about. That's Nightly News for this Friday. Thanks for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Thanks, Lester. Wait, this one is pretty intense.
That's metal too.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's what most of the roofs here are made out of. It's like, I can't believe the firemen aren't here blowing this out.
I know. I don't know what's going on.
Well, there's no cell service. There's no internet. Like,
Right, but this fire is huge.
I know. It's just jumping everywhere.
I'm sure they know it's here, right?
Look at this.
Like, this is... Oh, fuck.
God damn it. His motorcycle's gonna catch. That's alright, let it burn. Just get out of there.
It took us like 30 minutes to get out of our neighborhood. It usually takes us, turning out of your neighborhood doesn't take long.
Oh God, that's catching fast. Alright, everybody, let's go. It's go time.
Did you have a to-go bag ready or just your stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'd already
had to-go bags ready because we knew maybe worst case scenario, just in case, we packed a few things, just like, bare essentials. And if, thankfully, we thought, because we saw the fire and we're like, this might get really bad. So I grabbed like my ID, the cash I had on me, my diploma, my phone, chargers, tons of water, like 12 water bottles I fit in my backpack. So my backpack was pretty heavy, but we just grabbed everything that was in immediate need.
How'd you guys end up at the waterfront? Like, what led you guys there? Were you just being chased by the fire, and that's where you were?
Yeah, we were just being chased because we tried to get back in our car and try to drive away from it, and then we just got trapped from the people getting out of their car. So we just jumped in the water because we were right next to it.
You got it. That's all you.
Thank God. Wow. I can't believe how... Whoa!
Yeah, it was just backed up all the way to Front Street, and we were debating on going left or right on Front Street, and we went right originally and then parked our car at this children's church. I think it's called Children of the Rainbow.
Dude!
Super scary.
Milo, put your earbuds in.
It's gonna be fine.
It's fine. The firemen are
Poor
right
kid.
here.
It's
Poor
just...
Milo.
Wow.
As an adult, this is scary.
Tried
But
to
for
run
kids,
up and out
so scary.
to head north, but that was totally blocked by just fallen things, debris.
Milo, we're trying to get there, honey. I can't.
Fine.
We're fine. We just have to
It'll be
get out
alright.
of this traffic. Oh no. Don't say oh no.
It's gonna be fine. The firemen are right here. They're not gonna let...
They're not gonna let anything.
Oh.
So we ran back, got in our car, and tried to drive left on Front Street, and it was just totally blocked up, and no cars were moving.
I just can't freaking see.
Yeah, just put your phone down. I'll video. Okay, we're moving a little bit. That's good.
That's good. Well, now I got out of the danger stuff.
There's another engine.
They're not letting anyone up. We're just trying to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that's crazy that I wanted to bring up was the electric company whose power lines started this fire, decided not to turn off the power because it would keep the water from pumping and people needed water to be pumped. especially firefighters and people that were individually sitting there trying to fight these fires. Guess what? The water quit running. Another part of this conspiracy. Was this intentional? Was this to get rid of the, native Hawaiians? It's pretty freaking crazy. Well, yeah, here comes the fire trucks, and people are saying there was no help, nothing going on. There's fire trucks coming. There's police, blocking different avenues and directing people to get closer and closer to the sea. But there was help there, but there was no water.
Go ahead, fire truck. It's all you. Get 'em, boys. It's freaking nuts. Now we're out of it.
We can see now.
Okay.
I can't believe that. It was
Holy.
like black. That was crazy. Wow.
Ooh.
We're good now.
Yep, we're good. We're out.
Damn.
That was intense.
That was a little scary for a minute.
Oh shit, the road's closed. Guess we go straight. Oh, this poor guy has to direct traffic.
Oh, wow. Here's another engine. Let's go. They're just on the corner chugging a beer. I respect it. It'll be alright.
The fire was on our street.
Yeah. It is on our street.
Yeah.
It was right next to our car.
Right.
Could have reached out and touched it.
The guy in front of us jumped out of his car and started hitting it with his slipper.
Yeah, I saw that. That little, dead grass area that has that little pillar up on it, that caught fire really fast.
I saw it. It was like, boom.
Yeah.
We should have brought the fire extinguisher.
I didn't even know we had one.
It's under the sink. I don't know which way to go. I guess just keep going away from the fire.
Yeah. I don't really think it matters.
Both sides, to the left and the right, are on fire. White smoke starting to come, which means the fire's starting to die out. Fucking scary. We're gonna be okay. We're in the ocean. It's gonna be...
Not everybody that went to the ocean made it. It gives me goosebumps.
Oh, shit. Both sides, to the left and the right, are on fire.
Oh my god. Jesus, fuck.
When we left, when the fire was coming, in that moment, I don't think I thought that
I thought we were gonna
back.
have to get out of the car and
we
run
thought,
away.
Yeah, because up at this, we'll show you the intersection. It was almost blocked, and we almost couldn't make it. We thought at that point we were gonna have to get out of the car and run. But no, I didn't think we'd be able to come back.
No.
We saw fire was coming right to it, and it was very scary. That way is blocked.
Which way?
If we're trying to go onto the poly.
I cut the hole through here. I grabbed my fucking bolt cutter, you know what I mean? I grabbed the bolt cutter, came over here, chop. Fuck yeah. I'm not going that way, I'm going this way. These guys were the fire people were going, okay, down here, and there's flames going all over it. I go, fuck that, I ain't going that way. They go, you know another way? I go, yeah, I cut a hole right through here.
So you...
And see, that's where my clothes I sat down, where those hangers are right there, that's where they went poof. and I was running about right there, and I just dived down like this. I had a shirt on, you know, I fucking dived down and just did a belly thing like this, because I know the air, you got to get down, you know what I mean?
So you were you just dove into the water there?
Yeah, right, lay down, because you stand up, they hit you, you're dead. You go burst in the flame, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, I'm hoping.
Was it just about this much water when you were in it?
Yeah.
And so that was enough. Do you think if that wasn't there, would you have survived without the water?
Nope, I don't think so. Maybe not.
So just enough of a trickle, it was enough to save you.
Yeah, right there, that was caught over. I got wet, and you know what I mean? And I just was, and I was lucky right then that it was, the wind was, because when the wind would blow this stuff and blow the fire down, it would be balls. It looked like I'd never seen nothing about it.
Like fire hail?
Yeah, fire hail. Coming at you, it's 70, 50 mile an hour wind, and you're like, whoa, you know, and when I seen that blow like that, I never seen nothing like that. It was like, if you threw a match on like a charcoal fire, just like when you throw a match, that's what it went like, boom, and it was gone. And I had stuff that was like pictures of my father and mother that are dead, you know what I mean? And I thought, and I seen it go like that, and I was like, fucking, oh, this is serious. You know, it's dodgeball with death. Yeah, the fireball, dodgeball with death. Whenever I seen that thing right there, it'd go like that, poof. And then I heard people, when I seen the pictures the next day of people, I thought, oh crap, if that thing hit me right there, I was poof. You know, I just did the belly dive right there, woo, down. I probably seen my stuff down there where I, like that blanket, there's a blanket right there where it was covered me of wet, that wet blanket right there covered me one time, you know what I mean? I knew all those spots where that I had there, that thing right there covered me, right there. I'd have to go, yeah, because there's just little ones would come and bam, bam. I got shirt that burn right through them, go right through.
And do you have any injuries on you at all? Like,
not really, nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, next day I was like,
so we were in our car, like circling the parking lot, like trying to escape like fireballs. It'd get all black and like it was crazy. Yeah. It was so crazy. But then he had a truck parked on the other side, so we went through the watershed thing, like with the fire department. And I got in the truck, and then he went back to get some stuff, and he didn't come back out.
Yeah. Thank you.
He didn't come back out, so I thought he died. Like literally, I thought he died
because
he went back in,
stuck up in
and
here,
like didn't
so
come back out. And there was no other escape.
I think we weren't the first in the water, but we were some of the first. I think like the first 5, there was us 3 and then like another family. It was just crossing the street. Things were starting to light on fire right behind us. Like the only way to go was in the water.
That seems like a very last-ditch effort to
absolutely
to put yourself in that situation, to jump in the water. That moment of like going, what did you guys talk about, or you were just like, let's go, or how did that work?
A little bit. We were up in the Lahaina outlets because we ran up in there and tried to run through the Lahaina outlets, but it was blocked. So we ran back and we kind of all froze for like a split second, and we were like, what do we do? And we're like, as we mentioned before, like if things get really bad, we can always jump in the water. We mentioned that a few times. And so we ran back down, and we took refuge in this person's like yard for a few seconds just to collect ourselves. It was right by the water. And we knew we could jump in if we needed to, and yeah, we were like, I think it's time. Like we should get in the water.
What'd you have with you when you jumped in? You had I saw you grabbed one of those hats that the guy makes there.
Yeah, I just had nothing on me. Like my hat fell into the water, so I just found another one where I put my bag, and that's just about it. I just had my shirt and my pants.
Yeah. And you had a mask or clothes, or what?
Yeah.
So I actually have the thing I used to cover my face. I wrapped this end around and used the arms to tie it around, and you can see like as I pulled it up, even behind, you can see all that.
Let's see this in the sun. There we go. So that's what you're breathing through, all that smoke and stuff that was caught by the t-shirt.
Wow, that's crazy to see. I haven't looked at that yet. He had his backpack with him, his backpack he just got for school. He stashed it in this cave on that shoreline. I had my backpack with all my stuff. I put it on my front. That's what I was videoing on, like this. My mom had her backpack with, you know, our documents and stuff like that, and that's it.
So you have at least some water with you?
Yep, I had water. I brought her all our water. It was in my backpack.
What were those the conditions like, though? Because, I mean, you're talking about hurricane force winds. The waves must have been crashing into you as well, but you're just in the moment of watching what's unfolding in front of you?
Thankfully, immediately after we got in, the water was okay. The wind, though, was, I mean, everyone saw it spread in minutes down to Front Street. The wind was going crazy. I mean, I don't know how fast, but hurricane force winds. I mean, it was bad. And yeah, like you said, his like fitted hat blew straight off his head, and like, you know, it was, you know, palm trees bending over, wind, like I said, roof panels coming off. It was that windy. We were just trying to like cover our eyes because of the smoke and
also I assume like the sparks, right?
Yeah,
I heard somebody describe it like fire hail.
Yeah, I would absolutely. I could see that, especially when we were coming down Lahaina Luna Road. It was just like shooting. I heard someone describe it as like someone throwing like baseballs of fire. It was exactly like that.
Front Street's gonna look so different. That's gonna be crazy.
And some pieces were really big, like embers like that big chunks of whatever. So we were lucky enough to be in the water, so even like we made sure our hair was wet was one thing, because I saw someone their hair caught an ember and started like little spark, you know, could have become bad, and their friend like wet their hair. So I was like, wait, we got to get our hair wet. And you know, of course we're in the water, so most of our limbs, I mean, I was how far above the water were you, do you think? How
like
much of the
right here?
That's about where I was, because I was crouching down, because my mom and him are shorter than me, so I was about here too. So we knew, like, you know, if we were like this, our hands were covered, our faces were okay from the embers.
You're gonna be okay, Milo. Milo, your mask is dirty. It's better. Holy fuck.
Should I just wash it?
Yeah, just wash it.
It's kind of like when you open an oven and you're kind of like, imagine if you're like grabbing, you know, cookies out of the oven and that is blowing on you. That's what it felt like. That's very accurate.
What was the main thing that kept running through your mind when you're in there? Are you worried about your life? You're just not getting burned? You're worried about your dad? Like what's really, you know, each other? What were you know, what was going through your mind?
Immediately after we jumped in, we all, I think, felt some relief, because we felt that we were safe in the water. He was worried about our dad a lot, because he works in Lahaina, so we were wondering if he was still at his shop in Lahaina or what was going on with that. Thankfully he was up country, but also our mom, we were both very worried about our mom, and that's kind of what kept us occupied, was making sure her breathing, because she gets migraines really bad from stuff like smoke, and her eyes are super sensitive to stuff like that, so we were worried about her eyes and her breathing, so that was our main concern.
What were the conversations like in the water?
That's a good question. We wanted to save our breath, so we tried to only like say things that were necessary, so we were just telling people that, like, or telling ourselves, and you know, I was trying to reiterate, and all of us, like a mantra, like, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna get out of this, like, we're safe in the water.
Don't look at the fat, don't look. Look this way, this way. It's gonna be okay. It's alright.
Because that was helping me. For me, helping people, and especially them, helps me stay calm. So I just kept, like, it was for them to keep them okay, but it was also for me to keep myself okay.
It was like reinforcing that
completely.
In your mind that you're gonna be okay. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. What are you gonna remember the most from that experience in the water?
Probably just how smoky it was. That's probably just the main thing, just how smoky it was.
When you see the videos, that's when the smoke was the most clear and you could see.
The famous blue Maui water, now black with soot and burnt wood crashing against the shore. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, unknown, or famous. Disasters hit anyone, including Fleetwood's. This is the drummer Fleetwood Mac's famous restaurant right on Front Street, completely gone. This is a landmark that people around the world have been concerned about when they heard about the fire here. The banyan tree. It's been here for 150 years. When it was planted in 1873, it was only 8 feet tall. Now it takes up over a city block. These trees are unusual in the fact that they not only grow up, but they also grow out. And so while these look like individual trees, it's actually part of the same tree. These trunks are part of the same original tree.
Well,
The
like
shoots come in
Askins.
from the canopy and they grow up from the ground. And this is what you get after 150 years. How resilient will this tree be? It's still standing, but you can see all the foliage, branches, they're burnt to a crisp.
Weird glitch.
You can see the county had the water truck in, spraying, trying to get water to these roots, hoping and praying that it'll survive for many more years to come.
When it started, I was over by Fleetwood.
And so
I just came right down here, and there was people that looked so kind of relaxed in full clothing, and I was too hot. I took my clothes off, I put my bags inside. There was flames and, well, charcoal coming in, flaming, but it didn't get to me. But by the end, it smelled like I was sucking gas. And not air or water.
So what was it like? So you took shelter, you said, right in the women and men's restrooms?
Yeah, and the men's right around the corner, right in there. You can look, but this...
Can you show me?
I don't know if I should go in there now, but I will look, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's in there, so.
I'm gonna walk around the mess after.
So what made you come in here?
Oh, the wind was a little bit better, and there was a pipe on this side, and there was a fire going into this side, and then it kind of switched by the end of the night. I went into the other side and slept, and it was calm, so I kind of switched just one time out of here.
So this is where you were?
Yeah, right in there. Yeah, and then I went into the other side, put my bags in there, and I thought, oh, to put them on a hook or something, but I put them on the ground, and it was calmer.
Did you hear like a roar? Did it sound any particular way?
No, I did hear that, and sometimes you couldn't tell whether it was the ocean or a fire, like kindling almost, like when it starts to get scary. Or if the kids are around, it's scary, you know, but I couldn't tell if it was the ocean or the fire sometimes.
Did you think about jumping into the water?
No, it was all, the boats were still there. Even this one, the light was on last night, it scared me. And even this morning, one of these trees down here was putting charcoal back down on the ground, so it was scary.
When you guys get out finally and you live there, do you even recognize where you are?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope. And especially when it hit me that we were like a place I didn't even know, was when we eventually got picked up, and it was when we were driving to the sanctuary at Maui Prep. We were driving by like Waikuli, past the Cannery Mall and all that stuff, and just either direction you looked was just gone. Completely either up in flames or at that point just coal.
So you just emerged to a whole different universe.
Completely. And then once we were at, I think it was the post office or police station, like that area, that's where it was like, we finally felt safe. Like there was such a sigh of relief. We got on the bus, and there's even a picture I took of Milo and my mom sitting together smiling. Like we were just like feeling pure relief, nothing else. No thinking about our house or the material possessions.
Milo, are you okay?
I'm all good, yeah.
Okay. How's your breathing?
We were thinking about him while we were in the water because we knew he did, work in Lahaina.
I didn't even think about that until you just said it.
What?
That you guys were thinking I was in town.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that's why you were worried about me, because I forgot. You guys didn't know I wasn't going to work that day.
What's it like hearing it?
That was just now. It's the first time I've heard that, and it's like kind of heartbreaking for me to understand now why he was worried about me, because he thought I was in that, which that would have been hard for me to get out of there too. It is funny that I kept thinking of running in the ocean. Well, they can run to the ocean. If anything, you can usually outrun something that's going to be like that and run to the ocean. I thought they could at least run to the ocean.
In my group of that 24, 25, I think, was the head count. I think everyone made it, but there were a lot of people in that water who did not.
Like, at least they're here.
Yeah. I know. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
If you hadn't have gone through it personally, would you think the story is like real?
Probably not.
Yeah. I was thinking about that while I was telling this story to a few people. I'm like, I know this sounds like I'm exaggerating, but like, you can see from the videos, like, that's why I'm glad I took them, because a lot of people, like especially on the mainland, have trouble grasping how intense it was. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this fire compared to California fires. The thing that's special and crazy about this one is we have way less resources. We're landlocked, and it affected, like, a whole town burned out. Not a portion of a town, a whole town and more. Lahaina is completely burned.
Dang, that is crazy. Super crazy. Well, on that note, you guys, please send out prayers for people in Maui, Lahaina, people in California, the hurricane coming. That'll be here tomorrow night, as well as in Northwest Canada or Western Canada. The smoke is getting to our sister Sandra. She's up there in BC. Mother Nature is pissed. This global warming thing is real. But on that note, we do have to go to our first music break. On this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from Los Angeles, California, with Finger Bang Your Day, Consensual Sex Man. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied. Cockpit Hills, Mulletitude, as well as Silicone Wave. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
When your life is a never-ending train wreck, and you feel like you're drowning in a sea of regret, with a bit of oppression pressing down on your neck, it hurts so bad. When your overwhelming hatred kills your heart's desire, and reality starts looking like a dumpster fire, you start bitching to me, but but you're preaching to the choir. You don't need to be so mad. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world goes completely insane, open your heart, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, I'll finger bang my day. That's right. You gotta make the choice to give it all you've got and make your day long with pleasure, really make it hot. Because your day deserves a lover that pulls out the stops. Come on, it's not so hard. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world blows up in our face, what else could we do but stand up and sing? I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, finger bang my day.
Hey, what are we really doing? We can't live in a world that has this much hate. We have to get honest with ourselves. We have to take stock in what our part is in all of this madness. We have to let go, and we focus on giving love, setting that intention. And each and every single one of us gets up every day with the intention to give love. And we do it. We go out there and we give love every single day. Each one of us gets out there and makes love to our day, giving our day a multiple orgasm. The whole world will be orgasmic for the rest of eternity.
Sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world is fucking insane, we open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. get in the van.
Desperate and pathetic. Nothing but a coward. You're a fool with nothing to offer. No one will ever believe you. They see you for what you are. You're just a fraud, a shell of a person. And now the marvelous spirit of penetrate the demons that love you. They enslave you into the depths of the hate. I am the Juggernaut.
I got Marlon moves, got that molar too. You think it's wrong? I could've had too long for that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
All these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And I bag up to snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your mama till 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history.
How can I maneuver you with that pussy, dude?
You sit like Buddha waiting on it to come to you. My lines are straight to the point, she shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude? Let's adjust your attitude. Help with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that.
Help with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, back of the head, I'm gonna cut it.
Alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
You're like the butt of a butter knife cutting up panini.
So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie. These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be bought.
So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. You wanna buy my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor. I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, back of the head, I'm gonna cut it.
Yeah. Next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my molar makes your hose pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, never gonna cut it. I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, back of the head, never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it.
Drip, drip,
Molar moves.
some molar, bitch.
Molar moves.
Drip, drip.
Molar moves. Never gonna cut it.
I just got a package, I can't wait to get home. I spent all day tracking the shipment on my phone, all that she was lacking. I ordered custom, I can't wait to get some. Take it to the bedroom, bitch is always nagging. Now I got the air, I send the bitches packing, going my way. I have a new attraction, don't care what you say, it's better in every way. Now baby, it's time to play, we're gonna make us a tape and show everyone the way. Cause I'm going cause I'm
dreams.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Fais-moi l'amour.
Je suis à ma
Je pense toujours à
Enchanté.
Tu es charmant.
Ma chérie. Ma
Tu es
potatoes nasty. Is it touchy of a nipple?
Tu es chaud. C'est moi.
It's like living on a super yacht, making love to a robot. It's like owning a football team, but having sex with a robot. It's like winning an Oscar and Emmy a Grammy when you're fucking a robot. It's like saving a family with a newborn from a fire, but you're fucking a robot.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. We've been covering the Lahaina fire, how devastating that was. We have a couple more videos on that. It's pretty crazy what's going on over there. So the first one we have is by NBC News, and it's a firefighter discussing, the battle of, the flames and whatnot. And then the next one is about people being evicted, of all times to be evicting people. This is insane. So let me see. Yes, that's the correct one.
Many from Lahaina are being let back in to see their homes, and they are finding them burned to the ground, so often finding nothing left but ashes and smoke. And those who have been fighting those fires are also among those devastated in the aftermath. Joining me now is Tasha Pungdilao. She lives in Lahaina. She is a Lahaina firefighter. That video that you just saw is what's left of Tasha's parents' home there. Tasha, we've heard so much from the people who fled the flames and escaped, but not from those who ran in to try to beat those flames back. I want to ask, what did you see during all that chaos?
Lots and lots of wind, lots and lots of fire, lots and lots of people running, lots and lots of people helping each other. I think as first responders, we're getting a lot of recognition for helping, but it really was a lot of the community that were pulling each other out of cars and carrying babies to safety and loading up their truck. It was the community members that were a lot of the heroes of that day.
I can't imagine being in the middle of a firestorm like that, and you have people questioning a lot of the decisions that were made during that chaos. But as you're describing it, was that a situation where everyone was just trying to save as many human lives as possible, and that was the priority?
Yeah, I mean, life is always number one in our line of business, and then property. So I think our main goal at the time was to evacuate as many people as we could, save as many people as we could, and keep it from spreading. But with the wind conditions and how hot the fire was just getting and being consumed by everything, it was pretty difficult to even kind of wrap our head around what was actually going on and what we're trying to do at the time. But the men and women that were by my side and all over town just tried their best, and we did what we could.
And Lahaina is such a small community. Did you know the people that you were helping? Did you know the streets that you were on and who lived there? And do you know some of the people that are missing right now?
So to answer the first question, if anyone's ever been to Lahaina, or anyone that's from Lahaina knows how close our community is. And we don't we don't really use street names. It's always like, oh, that's Uncle's house on the corner, and that's, you know, our coach's house down the street. So going in, it was tough to see like our own community members and our families' houses burn while we're trying to stay focused on the task at hand. So yeah, that was tough. And I didn't even know about my parents and if they were able to evacuate, or even if the fire was down at that end of the town. But it was just so surreal. And right now, my uncle, I guess my dad's brother, is still missing. And based on what my auntie has said, and from her experience, like, he saved her, and he told her to go, and she's still alive because of him. We're still kind of waiting for confirmation and some kind of closure. And I think that my cousin just got his DNA swabbed, and that's going to be the next step and some closure for a lot of other people in our community.
So your uncle saved your aunt? He was the last person she saw?
Yeah. My uncle has needed help most of my life because he had a stroke, and she cared for him, and they were stuck, and she tried to help him and pull him out, and he knew that he wouldn't make it. So he told her, like, you need to go. And he pushed her away. And what she explains of like a very traumatic and horrific event, she knows that if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't be here. And she ran, and she was in the ocean, and that's kind of what she left it at. And all I know is he's a hero for sure. He pushed her away, and she wouldn't be here today if he didn't push her away.
Tasha, he's a hero, just like you are a hero, and we can't thank you enough for joining us on such a difficult day. I do want to ask, the other firefighters that you were working with, how are they coping?
To be honest, there's maybe 17 firefighters that lost their home that day, and they were either working that night, and if they weren't working that night, they were back the next day to help. Nothing, they lost everything. They were back the next day to help, to see what they could do, and they're coping by leaning on each other, and we're doing this all day by day, and it's really just been the community that's been helping. It's sticking together and providing everyone what they need to get on their feet.
I can't believe you guys are still moving forward. That spirit is unbreakable. Tasha, thank you so very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for watching.
That was Lester Holt again, if you don't know who that was. Look at my sound really quick over here. Okay, it looked really hot for a second. That sound is hot. So the next one I'll be sharing is about craziness going on there, as well as people being forced to leave their homes. If your home didn't burn down, now you're being evicted if you don't own it. So this is pretty crazy.
Evicted? The Maui massacre just got even worse. You will not believe today's video. We'll be looking in depth as to the deliberate lack of response by government officials in Maui, and even President Joe Biden's insulting offer to Hawaiians. We'll also be discussing how those in Maui with homes still standing, they're actually being evicted. Now we're going to talk about so much more. Make sure you do not skip forward on this video. Watch the entire thing, as I promise you're going to see things that mainstream media absolutely does not want you to see. Let's begin.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not. And the reason why...
So many people said they could have been saved if they had time to escape. Had a siren gone off, they would have known that there was a crisis emerging. And as we know, so many bodies were found in the ground as the flames caught their heels.
Give me the answer. The sirens, as I mentioned earlier, is used primarily for tsunamis, and that's the reason why many of them are found, almost all of them are found on the coastline. The public is trained to seek higher ground in the event that the siren is sounded. Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Malka, and if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire. By the way, I should also note that there are no sirens, Malka, or on the mountainside, where the fire was spreading down. So even if we sounded the siren, it would not have saved those people on the mountainside.
Maui Emergency Management Agency Director Herman Andaya, who reportedly made the final decision against activating the emergency sirens in Lahaina, Maui, has resigned. The sirens were meant to alert residents of imminent tsunamis, wildfires, terrorist attacks, etc. Residents have concluded the use of the sirens would have saved countless lives. But Director Andaya said he had no regrets about refusing to activate the sirens. Hawaiian Governor Josh Green has consistently defended the refusal to use sirens. Should the director be prosecuted in relation to the deaths of over 100 plus citizens of Lahaina? The devastating situation in Maui has proved once again that the U.S. government is incompetent and unreliable in a time of need. The emergency chief refused to sound the city's evacuation alarms in an emergency. The deputy director in charge of water refused to open waterways to help firefighters who begged for it. Now check this video out, which completely proves that the man you just heard, Herman Andaya, who was giving excuses, well, he completely lied.
So in the state of Hawaii, we have a statewide alert and warning system, which we also call SAWS. That involves not only the siren warning system, but as well as IPAWS. IPAWS is the Integrated Public Alerts and Warning System provided by FEMA, and that has the emergency alert system, also known as EAS. It also has the wireless emergency alerts, which is known as WIA. We also use sirens for hurricanes, brush fires, flooding, lava, hazmat conditions, or even a terrorist event. We have over 400 sirens spread out through 4 counties. Our sirens have a rating of 121 decibels. We have to visit each siren minimal once a year for preventive maintenance. Our role in the state of Hawaii in emergency management, especially telecommunications, is to prevent loss of life and to minimize property damage.
There you have it, folks. The Hawaiian government's own website says that the sirens should be used for fires. Those sirens are supposed to be used for multiple types of disasters.
Colin Rugg tweeted, Maui Emergency Management Agency Chief Herman Andaya has resigned due to health reasons after he refused to play sirens to alert Maui residents of the fire. He should be dragged away in handcuffs and thrown in jail instead. At least 111 people are dead, and this clown doesn't regret not alerting them before they were burned alive. Criminal. So now we've seen officials in Maui not only purposely not sounding the emergency sirens, but also purposely saying no to using the vast amounts of water available to put out the fires. What is happening here? Forgive me if I'm wrong here, but when there's an emergency taking place, shouldn't it be all hands on deck? Shouldn't officials do everything they possibly can, like sound the emergency alarms and use the water that's available to put out the fires? As we've discussed on previous videos this week, the other aspect to all of this is the land grab that's going on. Listen as a Maui resident discusses a meeting between the Hawaii governor and land developers.
Long term, I need to get our people back home. I just came from a meeting run by the governor. All these developers were talking about forget the permit process. We're going to build homes, not in Lahaina, and make these homes available. You know what the truth of that is? They're like fast track their development. And they're not fucking helping the people over here. There was not one conversation in this meeting about the people. Every conversation that was had, every developer that came up there and talked about what they could offer was about getting rid of the permits so that they can steal water from our streams, they can fucking fast track westernization development, and forget about the culture and place. That's gonna be our hardest journey in this long road to recovery.
To add insult to injury, now those fortunate enough to still have homes left standing are now facing yet another obstacle: eviction.
Do not give up Maui. Do not let them take your land. They are giving eviction notices to people whose houses didn't burn down. That shouldn't be legal. The court took time to write an eviction notice. I knew there was evil in this world, but Jesus Christ. The landlord had to go to the court, file a petition, and then manage to get that done in under a fucking week, and we can't get aid? Evict somebody?
FEMA also authorized one-time payments of $700 per household to folks who've been displaced.
So generous.
So they can do the immediate things of just taking care of medications and prescriptions that they so badly need.
President Biden sent an embarrassing and insulting $700 to Maui fire victims, and that's per household, while requesting an additional $40 billion of emergency funding to Ukraine.
So you're in an informational black hole. I don't know that Joe Biden's message has even reached the people of West Maui. But I will say this. I saw that $700 is going to be sent to the families of Lahaina. Now, I just did some quick math,
Disgusting.
Pete. There's about 13,000 residents of Lahaina. Times $700, that's $1.9 million. I think this week we announced another $40 billion for Ukraine. I'm not sure where we are at this point, Pete, but I believe it's something like $140 billion total for Ukraine. And last I checked, this is the United States of America, as is East Palestine, Ohio. So I don't know why it's so hard, comparatively, to rally for America and so easy, comparatively, to support Ukraine.
Yeah, the forgotten men and women on an island, forgotten today by an administration distracted by so many other things.
$700 in Hawaii, the most expensive state in America, is equivalent to about $350 in the rest of the states. Again, this is per household, not per survivor. As a thank you, there is a nice warm welcome awaiting Joe Biden in Hawaii on the road to Lahaina. Over 1 week has passed and still zero aid is getting to Americans who are suffering in Maui. Maybe that aid was given to Ukraine.
These are people who stood up in the midst of this tragedy and did everything they could to help each other. The sad part is we are 8 days past this wildfire, and I'm in constant touch with these community members and leaders. They are still not seeing response from the county, the state, the federal government to be able to go out and help them. The community support hubs that they have are 100% community-led.
So who owns Maui? After the state of Hawaii, who owns over 154,000 acres on Maui, Alexander & Baldwin is the second largest landowner at over 65,000 acres, and the U.S. government is the third largest landowner at over 33,000 acres. Okay, so let's take a look at the investors behind Alexander & Baldwin. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. Interesting, don't you think? What's also interesting is just how intense and unusual these fires seem to be lately. All right, we've made it this far. Let's put on our tinfoil hats for a moment and check out this interesting press release from 2018 titled "Aluminum Dust from Geoengineering Fueling Super Wildfires," according to author. I know. Now stick with me as we read this together. While researching for his new novel, author Dennis Mills discovered an alarming link between chemtrails and the super wildfires. The author discovered that unprecedented levels of aluminum and barium nanodust, primary components in chemtrails, both of which are incendiary, are fueling the ferocity of the super wildfires. A retired USAF Brigadier General, General Charles Jones. You know what? Let's hit the brakes. Let's stop for a second. Let's check out exactly how credible a USAF Brigadier General is. According to Wikipedia, a Brigadier General ranks above a colonel and below a Major General. Okay, let's continue. A retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, General Charles Jones, has been quoted from a public source as stating, "These white aircraft spray trails are the result of scientifically verifiable spraying of aluminum particles and other toxic heavy metals, polymers, and chemicals. Millions of tons of aluminum and barium are being sprayed almost daily across the U.S., stated Mills, a former naval officer and UCLA graduate. Pause once again. We have one legit U.S. Air Force general and one naval officer and UCLA graduate, both sharing facts on this. At this point, we can safely remove our tinfoil hats and check out the rest of this. Just sprinkle aluminum or barium dust on a fire and see what happens. It's nearly explosive. When wildfires break out, the aluminum barium dust results in levels of fire intensity so great as to cause firefighters to coin a new term, firenados, he said. The entire U.S., in addition to various other NATO countries, are being sprayed. The government has for years denied the existence of chemtrail spraying. It now calls the program by various names, all under geoengineering. According to CAL FIRE Operation Chief Steve Crawford, the fires are burning differently and more aggressively. It has been reported the fires move faster than anyone has ever seen, and barriers that in years past contained them, such as rivers, no longer do. In California's Mount Shasta region, Francis Mangle, a USDA biologist, tested and found elevated levels of aluminum in water and soil samples of 4,610 parts per million, which is 25,000 times the safe guidelines of the World Health Organization. We are now seeing cities burning down nearly every week, and today it's massive fires in British Columbia, Canada. Evacuation orders are underway as the fire is progressing and getting worse and more intense. Over 160,000 people have been evacuated, with a state of emergency declared yesterday.
It was a devastating night last night, probably one of the toughest of my career. The toughest of all of our firefighters' careers, likely. Is one of the most challenging nights of firefighting in our history. We fought hard last night to protect our community. Somebody described it to me last night in the heat of the battle as it was like 100 years of firefighting all at once in one night. And I really think that it was true. We fought 100 years worth of fires all in one night.
Switching gears now, in some positive news, Elon Musk is once again helping the people of Maui by providing them with solid, reliable power via Tesla power stations and also internet via Starlink.
Let me show you what community is, okay? I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about private citizens. This is Hawaiian Homes. This is Archie Kalepa's house. And let me show you another community private member. Not part of the community, but certainly giving to the community. Starlink, everywhere. Tesla.
Thank you, Elon.
Running communications for this entire area of Lahaina. That is where everyone comes. I just want to show you something, okay? So you know what you're giving to, what it's helped saving, okay? Just want to show you what you've become a part of as well, Elon. There's the line, right there. There's the line. That's how close it got to the community leader, Archie Kalepa's house, which is now the whole neighborhood powered by Starlink and Tesla.
That's awesome.
Man, appreciate you.
Folks, there is so much unfolding every single day, and I'm here to bring you the information as quickly as possible. If you enjoyed the content in today's video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. As always, I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Have yourself a fabulous day, and take care.
It's insane. And, conspiracy theorists. These are not theories. These are actual conspiracies. There are chemtrails. We've seen different planes in the past. I don't know if I've showed that to you guys, but plane was being sold that had different tanks and stuff on it for chemtrails. This brigadier general saying that they actually do spray these chemtrails. We've known it forever. People deny it. Oh, those are just, regular contrails. No, they're chemtrails. And look what's happening. These fires are out of hand. It's just freaking incendiary insanity. So I shouldn't have closed it out. I should have just gone back. But let me pull this up really quick. And, with global warming, different things are happening all over the planet that should not be happening. Erase this one. Erase this one. So this one is about a fire tornado. I wonder if that's the nightly. I wonder if I erased the wrong one. Oops. Because I have two nightly news ones going on. Okay, so this video is only a minute, but it shows the tornado going across the highway. And this was filmed by a Tesla camera. So somebody driving their Tesla actually recorded this, and it's pretty dang crazy. get rid of this. CBS News, thank you.
And we want to show you again the dramatic video taken by Randy Williams. Right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see what looks like a tornado going right across 295 North as he was driving his Tesla through the storm.
This is in Rhode Island.
Again, here in a moment, you'll see the rain, the wind, and then all of a sudden, a suspected tornado whipping into the picture, spinning away across the highway. Randy says his car was actually lifted about a foot off the ground, and he watched that driver that Beth mentioned get pulled into the air.
I happened to see a vehicle that was heading the opposite direction on the highway get picked up and dropped down. And then I saw this whirlwind immediately after that go directly towards my vehicle. It actually suspended me in the air for about a half a second, and luckily no other car was in the next lane over, because I was no opportunity to do anything about it.
Williams says his car was damaged, but fortunately he was not hurt.
Telling you guys, this stuff is crazy. So one car was actually lifted 10 feet off the ground. The back of his car was just lifted about a foot. But that's still pretty intense right there. Let me see what this one is, if we actually covered this one. Can't remember.
Tonight, tracking the extreme weather, historic Hurricane Hillary threatening the West Coast and rare tornadoes striking New England. The heart-stopping video, a tornado crossing the highway in Rhode Island. The images showing extensive damage. It comes as Hurricane Hillary, now a monster Category 4 storm, barrels toward Mexico and the West Coast. The National Hurricane Center warning of life-threatening floods and issuing the first-ever tropical storm watch on record for Southern California. We have the new track. Also tonight, the wildfire devastation in Maui. Maui's top emergency official abruptly resigning a day after he defended the decision not to sound emergency sirens as the fire spread. Our team in Maui. President Biden's historic summit at Camp David with the leaders of Japan and South Korea on the agenda, confronting threats from China and North Korea. Donald Trump deciding to skip next week.
Okay, so yeah. We did already share that one. Dang it. I think I erased the wrong one. So this next coming break, I'll look to see if I can find where exactly that video went. But I do have others to share with you. It's just insane. Craziness. Craziness going on. See what this one is. But yeah, like I was saying before, the people of Yellowknife have been working on being evacuated. Is this just a picture? Oh, it is just a picture. So this one is AFRL, Directed Energy Research Opportunities. The Directed Energy Directorate of the Air Force Research Laboratory is the United States Air Force's Center of Excellence for Directing Energy Technology, with an annual operating budget exceeding $300 million. A workforce of 800 plus people developed the transition research technologies into military systems used by, and it's cut off, so let me see, what the heck. Sorry, guys. I have this all planned out, and I accidentally erased the wrong one. Let me see if I can get back to that. Where's my trash? There's my trash. Hello, trash. So, let's see. I know. Evicted. Nightly news. So I guess I just sent that twice. Okay. Week's top 5. Grand Canyon terrifies. So, yeah, I guess we'll just get started with this. I was going to save this for last hour, and I might actually do that. But first, you guys got to see this. So there was a lab found in California, and somebody going around and checking out these different buildings. An inspector going around doing this found this freaking laboratory in some sort of warehouse building, and there's all kinds of crazy shit that was found in there. Let me see if I got the right one going. But yeah, it's freaking insane. They have rats in there, all kinds of freaking stuff going on, highly illegal.
Of the illegal biological COVID lab discovered in Reedley in March of this year. It's first important to remember what this community, our nation, the world went through for the last 2.5, 3 years. The COVID pandemic went on for nearly 3 years. It's commonly believed that COVID resulted from a lab leak out of the Wuhan lab in China. Worldwide, there are 769 million cases of COVID that resulted in nearly 7 million deaths. In the United States, there have been 107 million cases and nearly 1.2 million deaths. In California, there have been 103,000 deaths. China's COVID-19 virus resulted in the destruction of lives, livelihoods, the economy, and business. Children were stupidly locked out of school for 2 years and were destroyed academically, socially, and emotionally. People lost their freedoms, were forced to get experimental vaccines, to wear ineffective masks, and were lied to over and over by the CDC and government officials. Any information that challenged the lies and the tyrannical mandates that were suppressed by social media. And we had officials locally that were silent and complicit with all the unconstitutional and destructive government orders. And now they're silent again. So what do we know about this lab in Reedley? Well, on March 3rd, the Reedley code enforcement officers investigated the site after seeing an illegally attached garden hose. On March 16th, the warehouse was inspected, and it was discovered that the lab was producing COVID-19. There is blood, tissue, bodily fluid samples, and thousands of vials with fluids that are not labeled. They also found 900 mice, 200 mice that were dead. On March 16th, the representative from the company, Prestige Biotech, potentially a China national, informed investigators, quote, "These mice were genetically engineered to catch and carry the COVID-19 virus," end quote. Prestige Biotech, that company, is licensed in Nevada, not California. One address listed for this company is a vacant building in Las Vegas. Substack reports that other addresses related to this company appear to be in China, though this can't be verified at this time. And they also report that, quote, "Thousands of packages were found as well, many with shipping labels from China," end quote. On May 4th, the CDC inspected the lab and found infectious agents that were both bacterial and viral in nature. Some of these include hepatitis B and C, rubella, malaria, E. coli, and pneumonia. Fresno Superior Court documents indicate that mice were involved in these experiments with COVID-19. The lab apparently illegally disposed of medical waste, and it's believed it went to the landfill. This can't be confirmed because the operators of the lab have not been forthcoming. Now, questions that must be answered and the public has a right to know. One, is this company from China or is it sponsored by the Chinese government? What was the purpose and goals of their experimenting with COVID-19 and having mice catch and carry the disease? What were they doing with all the bacterial and viral infectious agents found at the illegal lab? Two, are the people that were running and operating this lab Chinese nationals or American citizens? If they're not American citizens, are they here illegally? Three, and most importantly, why wasn't the public informed of this illegal lab and what was found? The Fresno County Department of Public Health, it's public Health has an obligation to notify the public of potential dangers, both past and present. During the COVID pandemic, their medical officer held weekly press conferences justifying ineffective, destructive lockdowns and mandates, and yet not even an acknowledgement to the public of the illegal and potentially dangerous activities at the lab. So he spent a week having the media come, telling the public things that were not true, supporting all of the tyrannical, destructive things that were taking place in our city, our county, our state, our nation. And then when a lab related to COVID-19 is found 5 months ago, no word. No word from him, no word from the Public Health Department, no word from the Board of Supervisors. Number 4, the Board of Supervisors are also silent. This is similar to the crisis when foster children were found to be sleeping on floors in offices. They only addressed it when they were forced to because it became public through the media. This is disgraceful and represents a willful decision to hide from and shirk their duties as elected representatives of, guess what? The public. They're responsible to the public. These same Board of Supervisors were derelict in their responsibilities to the public during the pandemic. They were silent and complicit with all of Governor Newsom's destructive, unscientific lockdowns, mandates, and forcing kids out of school for 2 years. Now we have the same cowardice from the Board of Supervisors, and they're silent again when facing another crisis in the county, again related to COVID. The public has a right to know, what did the Board of Supervisors know about the lab, when did they know it, and why didn't they inform the public? 5, are there any current potential dangers to the public as a result of these experiments and illegal dumping of medical waste that involve COVID-19 and potential infectious agents that are both bacterial and viral in nature? Are there any potential adverse impacts to the farms in the area? How about the people in Fresno County or even beyond the local area? We know COVID spread around the world. How can the public be assured no medical waste was disposed of in our water systems? Number 6, were any safety measures in place at this illegal lab to protect the public from spread of COVID or the infectious agents they were experimenting with? We believe COVID spread from the Wuhan lab, and it could have come from this lab as well. Number 7, Lemoore Naval Air Station is only 45 miles from this illegal lab. As was reported in Substack, quote, all of the F-18s for all the Navy's West Coast base carriers are located at Lemoore. The F-18s are primary strike fighters for the United States Navy. In a war with China, these are the aircraft that we would rely upon to sink Chinese naval vessels and give us victory, end quote. The implications from the spread of a debilitating virus could be devastating to our nation's military readiness. Is the location of this illegal lab coincidence or purposeful? Now, what do we do with what we've got right now? Well, according to Joe Prado of the Fresno County Department of Health, there's currently no requirements for any lab, licensed or not, to report to the local public health department the biologicals or the testing that is being conducted.
How does that even make sense?
I call on the Board of Supervisors to immediately create a new law mandating this requirement in Fresno County, with the penalty of immediate shutdown if the lab is non-compliant. Additionally, there should be financial and criminal penalties for non-compliance. Secondly, Mr. Prado also stated, quote, if you don't receive public funding of any sort, you can, with private dollars, set up a laboratory in California and the United States, end quote, just like was done here. This must change on the state and the national level. There must be enough oversight to protect the public. This clearly isn't the case now, and it must change immediately. And lastly, I don't know when elected officials will learn who they work for. It's for the public. The public has a right to know that after March 3rd, 5 months ago, in a legal lab experimenting with mice with COVID-19 infectious agents, similarly as was done at the Wuhan lab 3 years ago, is going on in our backyard. The public had a right to know. The public has a right to know exactly what they know and when they knew it and what they intend to do about what's going on. Secondly, are there any other labs like this floating around? And what is happening with the people who are involved in this lab? These are the questions that I've been asked by the public. These are the questions that should be answered by the public. And the Fresno Board of Supervisors and the County Public Department of Health, Public Health, has an obligation to let people know what's going on. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Councilman, so what's the connection between the city of Fresno or your office and all this?
Well, there's no connection other than I represent the public, and the public is asking me, Gary, can you get involved and find out what's going on? And so we've done that. And that's what we've done. They know darn well that I'm their voice, that I always have been a voice for the people. And just like during COVID-19, with all of the tyrannical, authoritarian, unscientific, destructive lockdowns that I opposed, they know where I stand on things. You have to have transparency in government. And it just is lacking. And it's lacking here. And it's unbelievable that we've just gone through COVID for 3 years, where millions of people lost their lives under similar circumstances with people who were experimenting in China, and a virus was unleashed upon the world. Whether it was intentional or not, we don't know. But the fact is, a virus was unleashed on the world in similar ways, experimenting with COVID-19, and then it left that lab and people died.
Are there any labs like that in the city of Fresno?
That is something we'd have to look at. I'm not aware. I mean, this is the first since I heard about this on July 25th when it was reported in the local media paper there in Reedley. It's the first I've heard of any kind of lab like this anywhere. So that's something I'm sure the city of Fresno is going to look at and determine, are any labs like this operating anywhere? And if so, what's going on? Hopefully this was the only one.
How could the city act on that?
I'm sorry?
How could the city act on that?
Act on what?
Trying to find labs within the city.
Well, when you have a business, you're supposed to have a business permit, and people are supposed to provide that business permit and pay for that permit, and that's how the city knows businesses that are operating in the city. Now, if there are labs, as Mr. Prado says, that if they're private, they don't have to register with anybody, that's a problem. And that's a problem on a national and a state level, as well as a local level. Did you have a question? Go ahead, whoever. We, the city of Fresno, will certainly be doing our due diligence with this situation, looking at any relationship that occurred in the city with this lab or what they may be trying to do in the future. And the city's going to do that work, I can assure you.
So that's just more insanity going on in the world that we're living in today. And there's more to come. This next hour, we're going to be covering Yellowstone Park and some crazy activity that's been going on there, not just with the wildlife, but as far as the geysers and the two dormant volcanoes. It's actually one volcano with two dormant pockets going on underneath that have been very active. Things are heating up. Roads are melting, but it's pretty darn insane. But on that note, boys and girls, we are going to go to our second music break. We have Jeff Hilliard with his epic song, Abandoned. Jeff Hilliard is from Los Angeles. If you haven't seen his videos, check him out on YouTube. He's got a new song coming out. If we have time during the show, we may cover that. And then we have Miss Mia Savage with Your Skeleton Not a Phase, Lemurian Crypto, as well as The Bottom Line. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Why won't you answer my calls?
of nothing. Just a choice right now between fear and love. Choice right now between fear and love.
That was Miss Mia Savage, originally from Phoenix, but she also lives up here in the Durango area. She's actually back in town. Super excited. We're going to go ghost hunting. She's got to go back on the 24th, so we'll probably do like a live video on Tuesday or Wednesday or somewhere in there and do some ghost hunting somewhere. But let's get back to these videos. So the next video we're going to be checking out is Yellowstone Park. Pretty scary what's going on there, guys. But yeah, if that thing goes off, we're in a world of hurt. We're already facing so much destruction as far as Mother Nature goes, but this is on another level.
Yellowstone National Park could be sitting on a time bomb. There is a supervolcano underneath the national treasure.
Yellowstone National Park, a marvel of nature, hides a seismic secret that's now trembling to the surface. Hundreds of earthquakes have struck, and scientists are on high alert. Is this the prelude to a catastrophic eruption foretold by experts? Or is there something even more mysterious at play beneath the geysers and hot springs? Join us as we delve into the recent tremors, uncovering what they mean for Yellowstone, and perhaps for the entire world. Something remarkable is happening, and you won't want to miss what scientists have discovered. Before we delve into the recent seismic activities, we need to understand the context surrounding Yellowstone National Park. Established on March 1, 1872, by President Ulysses S. Grant, Yellowstone is not just the first national park in the United States, but it's also the first of its kind in the entire world. Spanning over 2.2 million acres across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, it's a vast expanse of wilderness, geysers, hot springs, and diverse wildlife, including grizzly bears, wolves, and herds of bison and elk. But beneath this serene landscape, there's a fact that many of us sometimes forget. Yellowstone is not just a park, but a giant volcanic caldera, one of the largest active volcanic systems in the world. This caldera is part of the much larger Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, which includes geysers like Old Faithful and the Grand Prismatic Spring. And as a supervolcano, its eruptions have the potential to be thousands of times more powerful than a typical volcanic eruption. The caldera itself is a massive crater, formed during the last of 3 super eruptions over the past 2.1 million years. The first of these eruptions occurred 2.1 million years ago, creating the Huckleberry Ridge Tuff and leaving a caldera more than 60 miles across. The second, 1.3 million years ago, formed the Island Park caldera and the Mesa Falls Tuff. The most recent major eruption occurred approximately 640,000 years ago, creating the Lava Creek Tuff and forming the Yellowstone caldera as we know it today. This eruption was so powerful that it ejected over 240 cubic miles of rock, ash, and volcanic gases into the atmosphere, causing a global temperature drop and affecting ecosystems worldwide. Imagine a force so great that it could blanket the entire continent with ash, disrupt global climate, and lead to widespread destruction. The ashfall from such an eruption could bury cities and farmlands, leading to catastrophic consequences for agriculture and infrastructure. The release of sulfur aerosols could cause a volcanic winter, cooling the planet and affecting weather patterns for years. But what if I told you that the story doesn't end here? Stay with us till the end to uncover the potentially disastrous consequences of an eruption at Yellowstone, a scenario that could change the course of human history. Recent studies have revealed something astonishing. There's not just one, but 2 magma chambers beneath this giant volcano. The first magma chamber, discovered in the 1980s, is about 10 kilometers below the surface, containing about 10,000 cubic kilometers of molten material. But deeper still, between 20 and 50 kilometers below the surface, lies a second magma chamber, 4.5 times larger. This deeper chamber was discovered through seismic imaging, and it's a groundbreaking revelation. Together, these chambers hold enough molten rock to fill the Grand Canyon nearly 14 times over. This discovery doesn't increase the chance of an eruption, but it does mean that the shallow chamber can be replenished again and again, providing a continuous source of energy for the park's geothermal features. What does this mean for the park? And why is it significant? Well, in the heart of America's first national park, a shocking geological drama is unfolding. Yellowstone recently became the stage for a seismic spectacle that has left scientists and spectators alike on edge. Within a span of just 12 hours, the northern portion of Yellowstone Lake experienced a series of tremors that have caught the attention of experts and the public alike. The sequence began on March 28th with a seemingly insignificant magnitude 0.7 quake. But this was just the beginning of a remarkable seismic swarm. Within half a day, at least 60 earthquakes ranging from magnitude 0.1 to 3.7 were detected. 2 of these quakes were above magnitude 3.0, with the strongest being a magnitude 3.7 at 8:24 a.m. MDT. These seismic activities were closely monitored by the University of Utah seismograph stations and the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. Additional smaller earthquakes in the region are still under review. While earthquakes in Yellowstone are not uncommon, accounting for roughly 50% of the total seismicity in the Intermountain West region, this particular sequence has reignited discussions and fears about the big one that could strike within the park. The area is one of the most seismically active regions in the United States, experiencing between 1,000 and 3,000 earthquakes annually. Most of these are minor and go unnoticed, but the recent swarm has raised eyebrows. The very mention of a potential eruption at Yellowstone National Park is enough to send shivers down the spine of anyone familiar with the geological might of this region. For starters, it would be an event of unprecedented magnitude. The immediate vicinity of the park would witness catastrophic destruction. Lava flows, pyroclastic surges, and ashfall would obliterate everything in their path. The picturesque landscapes, rich biodiversity, and iconic geysers would be consumed by the fury of the eruption. The human toll would be devastating as well. The park and surrounding areas are frequented by millions of tourists every year. Towns and communities in the vicinity would be at grave risk, and evacuation efforts would be a monumental challenge. According to one model, the fallout from a Yellowstone supereruption could affect 3/4 of the U.S., and 90% of people within 1,000 kilometers of the blast could be killed. One of the most alarming aspects of a Yellowstone eruption would be the widespread ashfall. A major eruption could eject thousands of cubic kilometers of ash into the atmosphere, blanketing vast areas of North America. According to one map, areas as far as Missouri and Texas could receive more than 10 centimeters of ash, while areas closer to Yellowstone could be buried under several meters of ash. In addition, the massive amount of volcanic gases and aerosols released into the atmosphere would have a profound effect on the global climate. Sulfur dioxide and other gases could form a veil of aerosols in the stratosphere, reflecting sunlight and leading to a significant cooling of the Earth's surface. One study suggests that a Yellowstone supereruption could lower global temperatures by up to 12 degrees C for several years. This volcanic winter could affect weather patterns, reducing agricultural yields and leading to food scarcity in various parts of the world. In the face of a potential eruption, the lessons learned from past volcanic events must guide our approach to risk management and mitigation. But the question is the supervolcano showing signs of awakening? Or are these tremors merely the Earth's way of reminding us of its ever-present power and unpredictability? To understand this, we must delve into the geological complexity of Yellowstone. The park sits atop a hotspot, a plume of molten rock that rises from the Earth's mantle. This hotspot fuels the park's geothermal features and is responsible for the volcanic activity in the region. It's also one of the few hotspots that lie under a continental crust, as opposed to oceanic crust. The recent swarm of earthquakes that occurred near the eastern edge of the Yellowstone caldera, close to the area where the last major eruption took place, has brought this geological wonder back into the spotlight, with many wondering whether this is a prelude to a more significant event. Seismologists and geologists are keenly analyzing the data, looking for patterns and clues that might indicate a change in the behavior of the volcanic system. The University of Utah seismograph stations and the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory have reassured the public that the recent seismicity does not indicate an imminent eruption. The earthquakes are likely related to the movement of fluids and gases beneath the surface, a natural process in such a geologically active area. The park's geothermal features, such as geysers and hot springs, are not just tourist attractions but indicators of the intense geological activity beneath the surface. Hydrothermal explosions are one such manifestation of this activity. These explosions occur when superheated water trapped below the Earth's surface rapidly converts to steam, causing a violent eruption. In Yellowstone, smaller hydrothermal explosions akin to unexpectedly large or uncharacteristic geyser events occur almost annually and could pose a hazard to anyone nearby. For instance, a hydrothermal explosion occurred at Porkchop Geyser in the Norris Geyser Basin in 1989, and the remains from the eruption can still be seen today in the form of rock debris around the surrounding central spring. And the most recent large explosion created a crater inside the park just 3,000 years ago. Landslides are another geological hazard in the region. The unstable terrain, combined with the effects of weathering and seismic activity, can lead to sudden and catastrophic landslides, blocking roads and trails, isolating parts of the park, and posing risks to hikers and motorists. These geological activities can also be further aggravated by tremors and earthquakes, which have the ability to alter geysers and hot springs and cause landslides. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of Yellowstone, we can't help but recall one of the most significant seismic events in the park's history, the Hebgen Lake earthquake. Could history be about to repeat itself? With a magnitude of 7.5, the Hebgen Lake earthquake remains the largest earthquake to have hit the area in recorded history. The quake caused massive landslides, one of which dammed the Madison River and created Quake Lake. The landslide traveled at an estimated speed of 100 miles per hour and contained approximately 80 million tons of rock, soil, and debris. It swept down into the Madison River Canyon, burying a campground and causing the deaths of 28 people. Roads, bridges, and buildings were destroyed or severely damaged, not only in the immediate vicinity of the quake but also in more distant locations. The damage extended to infrastructure within Yellowstone National Park, affecting visitor access and park operations for some time. The earthquake also had a profound impact on the geothermal features of Yellowstone. Geysers that had been dormant for decades suddenly erupted, and the patterns and behaviors of others changed dramatically. For example, the famous Old Faithful Geyser's eruption intervals were altered, and new hot springs and fumaroles appeared in the park. The event led to a re-evaluation of the seismic risks in the Yellowstone region and prompted significant changes in monitoring and preparedness. The U.S. Geological Survey and other agencies increased their monitoring efforts, and building codes and emergency response plans were updated to reflect the lessons learned. As scientists continue to study the wonders of Yellowstone, the world watches with bated breath, wondering what secrets are yet to be revealed. One clue might just lie in none other than Yellowstone's wildlife. From dense forests to open meadows, from steaming geysers to icy rivers, the park's landscapes provide a haven for a wide array of plant and animal species. But recently, something strange is happening. Visitors are reporting unusual encounters with wildlife, particularly bison. 2 weeks ago, a woman was gored by a bison amid repeated warnings and close calls. Another tragic incident took place just last week, where a woman was found dead on the Buttermilk Trail, 8 miles from West Yellowstone. Investigators found grizzly bear tracks at the scene, and the evidence points to a fatal bear encounter. The area has been closed for human and bear safety until August 25th, and the investigation is ongoing. The jury's still up on whether there's a connection between the wildlife behavior and the recent seismic activities. But some experts do believe that animals might be sensing something we can't. After all, they've been living in harmony with this land for thousands of years. The idea that animals can detect seismic activities before humans is not new. There have been documented cases where animals have exhibited unusual behavior before earthquakes, such as dogs barking excessively or cats hiding. In Yellowstone, the connection might be even more profound. The park's geothermal features and seismic activities are part of the natural landscape, and the wildlife has adapted to these conditions over millennia. The bison, in particular, have a deep connection to the land. They use the park's geothermal areas in winter, taking advantage of the warmth, and their migratory patterns are influenced by the geological features of the region. Could the recent changes in behavior be a response to shifts in the underground magma chambers? Are the animals reacting to vibrations or chemical changes in the environment that are beyond human perception? These are questions that scientists are now exploring, looking for correlations between animal behavior and seismic data. The behavior of animals, the flow of rivers, the eruption of geysers, and the rumble of earthquakes are all interconnected in ways that we are only beginning to understand. The threat of an earthquake or volcanic eruption in this geologically active region is a matter of serious concern, and the authorities are leaving no stone unturned in their efforts to understand, monitor, and mitigate the potential risks. The new Yellowstone Volcano and Earthquake Monitoring Plan, released by the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, YVO, and other partners, aims to improve monitoring and hazards assessment in the region. The plan includes detailed descriptions of existing and planned monitoring systems, focusing on two categories: backbone monitoring and hydrothermal monitoring. Backbone monitoring refers to the existing region-wide surveillance network that has been in place to monitor seismic activities, ground deformation, and other geological phenomena in the Yellowstone Plateau region. This network consists of seismometers, GPS stations, and other instruments strategically placed throughout the park to provide real-time data on the geological activities occurring beneath the surface. According to the plan, this system will be further upgraded over the next decade. Hydrothermal monitoring, a new part of the plan, will track activity associated with Yellowstone's thermal and geyser basins. By measuring temperature, pressure, water chemistry, and other parameters in the thermal and geyser basins, it will provide valuable insights into the behavior of the hydrothermal system, helping to detect any unusual changes that may signal an impending geological event. The University of Wyoming, along with other scientific agencies such as the U.S. Geological Survey and the National Park Service, is actively involved in this monitoring effort, reflecting the importance of understanding and mitigating the geological hazards in the Yellowstone Plateau region. Subscribe to Beyond Discovery, and see you in the next one.
It's a really good channel. You should subscribe. They got a lot of interesting stuff.
Yellowstone National Park employees and guests.
Woo! That was loud. All right, so this next one I want to share is kind of off topic as far as like happenings in the world today, but basically we're going to be covering dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. And I think it's like a top 10 or whatnot video as far as like tragic and traumatic deaths. Some of them it's like, really? What were you thinking?
Without mortality, what is humanity? Seasons change, the flowers bloom and wither, we start from dust, and to dust we shall return. Most of us think we're going to drift away in our sleep, or maybe we'll die from old age, but some of us croak it in ways that you just won't believe. So, as usual, without any messing about, here are 5 more bizarre deaths.
Dun 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 dun. Don't try this at home, kids. Top 5.
Fireworks are supposed to symbolize joy, celebration, happiness, well-being, and total health. However, in this story, they actually did the total opposite. This explosive story begins in America, in Maine, on the 4th of July, 2015. On that fateful night, 22-year-old Devon Staples had no idea it would be his last. Devon was described as a warm-hearted, fun-loving, life-of-the-party type of guy. He lived in Orlando, where here he worked as an actor at Disney World. He would dress up as Gaston and Goofy, and he was amazing at his job. To celebrate Independence Day, Devon attended a party in the back garden of a friend's house. He brought with him his family, and of course, fireworks and booze. Before long, they were all singing and drinking as fireworks zoomed into the night sky. As the night went on, they got slowly and slowly more drunk, and things slowly got out of hand. In all the craziness, Devon said he was going to light a firework on his head. Now, the firework he was going to put on his head was not a small one. It was one of those massive, massive mortar shells, the ones that are 5 inches long and must be at least 2 inches wide. They are ridiculously powerful and can propel up to 150 feet into the air. It was also described as out of the mortar tube, meaning it had no metal casing, so it was just sort of the inside of the firework. Devon put it on his head and laughed. He told everyone that it was a dud firework and that it was a funny, harmless joke. His friends and family erred on the side of caution and told him to take it off his head. But despite the warnings, Devon continued to laugh and joke as it rested on his head. He continued to tease his friends with the idea of lighting it. He pulled out a lighter out of his pocket and began sparking it over his head. And of course, it was all fun and games, until it wasn't. All of a sudden, Devon sparked the lighter above his head and the firework ignited. It was not a dud. Within the space of just a second, it went off, and because there was no mortar tube to project it in any direction, it exploded right on top of his head, killing him in front of his friends instantly.
Sad.
According to his brother, Cody, he said, and I quote, "I was the first one who got there. There was no rushing him to the hospital. There was no Devon left when I got there. It was a freak accident." I can only imagine the complete horror going from a fun night of celebrations to absolute tragedy within seconds. This story goes to show the dangers of fireworks in general. There's a reason why they're plastered with warning labels. They're explosives. What Devon did was extremely silly, and the nightmare that unfolded will forever be burned into everyone's memories that witnessed it. This story is so unusual, it'll make you think twice about using any gadget in your kitchen. It begins in Mulhouse, in eastern France, on the 18th of July, 2017. That day was to be like any other for 33-year-old fitness blogger Rebecca Berger. Rebecca had 55,000 friends on Facebook and 158,000 Instagram followers. The fitness guru would highlight the value of fitness and training, as well as the food and the lifestyle. She was described by friends as a body princess, bikini icon, and a beautiful athlete. But while she was in great shape, showcasing her amazing figure, she was also described as a generous, kind person who was full of life. Sadly, on that warm July morning, it would all come to a tragic end. On the morning of July the 18th, Rebecca had woken up early. She planned to start the day right, as she usually would with her various fitness routines. She went into the kitchen of her home in Mulhouse and began preparing a nice hot drink. After she made it, she thought that the one thing it was missing was delicious whipped cream. So Rebecca began setting up a pressurized whipped cream dispenser, one that she bought years earlier. Here she attached a nitrous canister within a plastic housing and then fitted the cream canister. Once it was all set up, without any hesitation, Rebecca pulled down on the trigger to release the whipped cream, and the entire thing exploded. The pressurized cream flew backwards and hit Rebecca's thorax. The impact was so strong, in fact, that it broke all of her ribs and caused her heart to suddenly stop. She dropped to the floor, and her family began giving CPR. The paramedics were called, and they managed to successfully revive her on the scene. However, she never regained consciousness, and tragically, the next day, she succumbed to her injuries in the hospital. After a brief investigation, it was found that the dispenser that Rebecca had used that day was actually faulty, and had actually been recalled in 2013 for safety concerns. For whatever reason, Rebecca was still using it, and it cost her her life. Officials commented and said that this was a total freak accident that nobody could predict. Her family posted on all the socials 2 days later, breaking the terrible news to her followers and urging them not to use the whipped cream dispensers, leaving her fans and the world in shock at her bizarre and early passing.
Number 3.
Now, this story goes to show that real life is often stranger than fiction. This story begins on the 15th of June, 2018, in Indonesia, more specifically in North Toraja. Now, for a bit of background, the Tanah Toraja region in Indonesia is bristling with unique features. From its diverse culture to its beautiful mountain views, it's paradise. However, without a doubt, this region is most famous for its bizarre funerals. Now, when Toranjans die, it's tradition that local residents hold funerals that can last for days, involve music, dance, and alcohol, and even the sacrifice of water buffalo. They're meant to celebrate life more so than to mourn death. Then, once the funeral is over, once a year, the deceased relatives are dug up, exhumed, dressed in different clothes, even taken out for lunch, posed for photographs, and then placed back in their coffin. It's all very bizarre, but I suppose that's their culture, and it's been this way for hundreds, if not thousands of years. The first thing they do at these funerals is heave a specially made wooden coffin up a bamboo ladder. They then place the coffin on a lacane, a large carved wood tower, where here it would rest for the remainder of the funeral. Torajan people believed that the deceased would be able to watch the party from there, as from the tower you can see all the people celebrating and dancing and drinking wine below. On the 15th of June 2018, it was the funeral for Berta Kondorura, the mother of 40-year-old Salman Kondorura. That fateful day, Salman arrived for his mother's funeral. He was one of the pallbearers. He, along with 15 to 20 other people, carefully carried his mother's coffin right to the top of the bamboo ladder. This is the video captured, and obviously I can't show it all because of the guidelines, but it shows the mass of people almost at the top of the ladder. However, just as they got to the top, all of a sudden, one of the pallbearers lost his footing, and this caused the ladder to slip and collapse. As the people tumbled to the ground, the large coffin soon followed. There wasn't any time to react.
No.
The coffin crashed on the ground with Salman, the son of the deceased, still underneath. The coffin, being as ornate and heavy as it was, completely pulverized Salman's head. Salman was rushed to the hospital, but sadly he died from his injuries that evening. Officials said that the accident occurred because the ladder wasn't properly reinforced. However, the family decided not to press any charges. A few days later, Salman was laid to rest right beside his mother. But just imagine that, dying at your own mother's funeral, by your own mother's coffin. It's completely bizarre and something right out of Final Destination. But as always, I'm interested in your thoughts below.
Number 2.
This tragic story begins in the Calvert Vaux Park in Brooklyn on the cold afternoon of September the 5th, 2013. That day, a 19-year-old by the name of Roman Przyzek Jr. decided it was the perfect day to fly his RC helicopter in the park. It was his only day off work for the week, the weather was perfect, so he invited his dad to come with him. It was going to be an amazing day. Roman was an incredibly good remote control helicopter pilot for his age. He was capable of performing insane tricks, flying it backwards, upside down, and moving it in ways that was simply impossible for a real helicopter to do. He had this one trick where he would let the helicopter freefall above his head, only to restart the motor when it was just inches from hitting him, leaving his viewers in shock. He was described by his sister as the best person ever, and that he had the biggest heart. Having been introduced to model airplanes at a very young age by his family, the hobby slowly migrated to radio-controlled helicopters, and before long, Roman was completely mad for anything RC helicopters. He was so obsessed, he became the vice president of the local helicopter flying hobby club. He even ran his own YouTube channel, highlighting his aggressive but impressive piloting skills. Tragically, Roman had no idea that his favourite hobby would be the end of him. On that cold afternoon, Roman and his dad brought Roman's high-end petrol-powered T-Rex 700 RC helicopter, which he can be seen holding here. Now, this particular make is one of the largest remote control helicopters that you can buy. It's capable of reaching 60 miles per hour,
Wow.
measuring several feet from end to end.
Holy shnikes.
It weighed 6 pounds and featured a blade span of 62 inches with a rotor blade that spins at more than 2,000 RPM. It sounds like an absolute monster. As Roman and his dad and 4 other enthusiasts flew their helicopters nearby, Roman and his dad set their engine going.
Recording.
I can see a bug. Oh. Oh wow.
The helicopter shot in the air, spinning and twirling, performing all the tricks in the book, all recorded by a GoPro that was strapped on it for its YouTube channel. After a while of tricks, at approximately 3 PM, it was time for the ultimate showstopper. This trick was the one I mentioned before, where he'd have it free fall above his head before recovering at the last minute.
Don't do it.
The trick
Oh,
all
no.
played out as expected, but we are in a bizarre death video, so of course something had to go wrong. As the helicopter descended through the air, right above Roman's head, Roman pulled the trigger on the accelerator for it to gain elevation, and instead it spun out of control. In a blink of an eye, the razor-sharp carbon fiber blades struck his head. The first impact shattered his skull, sending a piece flying. The blades then continued to scalp him, and then when they were done, they cut his throat, all while his dad watched. After
That's
all the
terrible.
blades had shattered, the helicopter was thrown rotor down 20 feet away from Roman. His dad rushed over to find that he was mortally injured. Despite his dad's best efforts to keep him alive, by the time the paramedics arrived, he was dead. Flying a remote control helicopter apparently is one of the most difficult aircrafts to operate. They are heavy, dangerous, and they're certainly not toys. This story was of course just a freak accident. It's thought that Roman's death is the second ever recorded fatality from a model helicopter. But what an absolute nightmare. To be torn apart from your own pride and joy in front of your dad. It's got to be one of the worst ways to go.
Number 1.
India is known for its diverse and vibrant culture,
But nice.
its flavorful cuisine, and its deep traditions. Did you know that India has 22 official languages, making it the highest number of any languages of any country in the world?
I didn't know that.
However, India is also known for its complete lack of safety and regulations. Just look at some of my other videos. Some of the most crazy and insane deaths come from India. And sadly, this story is no exception. It begins on the 28th of April, 2013. That hot summer day, a 50-year-old police officer named Salyendra Nath-Roy was going to attempt the ultimate stunt. Salyendra Nath-Roy was an Indian man who put his name in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most ridiculous of records. Salyendra was the world record holder of the farthest distance travelled on a zip line using just a ponytail. He also had his name in the Guinness Book of World Records for other great feats of strength, including pulling a train and a bus with his ponytail.
Dang.
But on that fateful day, Salyendra was going to try and beat his previous record of the farthest distance travelled on a zip wire using just his ponytail. This time, he was going to attempt a 600-foot zip line in front of a crowd of around 1,000 people. Throughout the many years of Salyendra conducting these wild stunts, his wife begged him and pleaded with him to quit, fearing for his safety. Salyendra believed that this stunt would achieve everything he ever set out to achieve. So he told his wife that this would be his last, and after this stun, he would retire and settle down with her. So, on that day, a 600-foot zip line was set up across the Coronation Bridge in West Bengal, India. The zip line stretched 70 feet above the fast-flowing Teesta River. As Sailendra hooked up his ponytail to the zip line, approximately 1,000 people gathered on the bridge. They all watched as Sailendra attached his shoulder-length hair to a pulley on the wire, and without much thought, he set off. At first, as usual with these videos, it was all going well, until it wasn't. After completing half of the course, already breaking his previous record, all of a sudden, his hair got stuck in the zip line. He tried desperately to untangle it, but suspended 70 foot above a fast-flowing river with 1,000 people watching, panic ensued. He tried desperately to pull himself forward, but his hair was completely twisted and jammed in the inner workings of the zip line, the only thing keeping him up. He turned to the audience and started screaming instructions, but they had no idea what he was saying. There were no officials there, no doctors, or medically trained persons on standby.
Come on.
The only safety precaution that I can see is the fact that they dressed him in a life jacket. Witnesses were forced to watch as he continued to struggle, grasping at the rope, trying to move forward. But to no avail. After several minutes, Sailendra became motionless and hung lifelessly by his ponytail over the water. An agonizing 25 minutes later, he was brought from the zipline and rushed to hospital. But by then, it was far too late. They found that he had suffered a massive heart attack while panicking over the water.
Wow.
He was declared dead soon after arriving at the hospital. His younger brother, Benoy, who was witnessing his brother's stunt for the first time, said that we were proud of his bravery, adding that he was sure to win, but destiny had taken his life and the most beloved member of our family as well. But that is the end of the video. May all the people involved in this video rest in peace. As always, I'm interested in hearing all of your thoughts below. The RC helicopter in front of his father is just nightmare fuel. And Sailendra trying to do a ponytail zipline is just so ridiculous, you couldn't make it up. But as always, if you're into true horror content such as this, make sure you click in that subscribe button and click that notification bell to be alerted when I release new content such as this. I understand my upload schedule is crazy right now, and I'm working on getting it back to a routine schedule. But as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So that's Tragedy Tales. They also have a very good channel. I just subscribed. You guys should too. But yeah, I don't know, you guys. Like I said, the state of the world today is insane. Sending out positive energy, love, and prayers to the people of Maui, Lahaina, Canada, Yellowknife, the surrounding areas. Our sister Sandra there in the chat room is dealing with the smoke with that. Hopefully, it won't get any closer. Fire is just crazy thing to deal with. Like I said, it's like its own life form. It'll jump, it'll burn some things and not others. It's just pretty darn insane, if you ask me. So tomorrow night, I'll be hosting again, and we will be doing story time as well as some spooky videos. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. I am, because I love reading and listening to scary stories. It's one of my favorite pastimes. I have a lot of scary stories to share as well, but yeah. I've shared them so many times, I think everybody's tired of hearing them. Wow, I was buffering there for a second. That was weird. Slow motion. Let's see where we are over here. But I want to thank you guys so much again for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNL Radio, eTalk Radio, Twitter, Spreaker, Twitch, iHeartRadio, and for watching us on YouTube as well as Facebook. And wherever else you may be listening or watching from the Omniverse tonight. I hope you had a wonderful time. And I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night. Like I said, we'll be doing a story time with me, TessaTNT, and then at the end we will be watching some creepy videos. So make sure you guys come on over, hang out with me. Wow, I don't know why I'm buffering so bad right now. Slow motion. Snap out of it. Snap out of it. Jeez, oh Pete, why is it doing this? So weird. We got full bars over here. A few over here. Jeez, oh Pete. Sorry, guys. Don't know why it's doing that. But you guys don't forget, we're all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media. Because without you, there is no us. Make sure you guys stick together in hard times because, you know, there's more success in numbers. Until next time, nighty-night, love and light to all of my listeners and watchers and friends out there. I hope to see you back here tomorrow night, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good one.